All right, I'm going to have to break up part two in several parts. Black Panthers. Part two, before the Panthers. In order to understand how an organization like the Black Panther Party could come into existence, it is important to understand the history of oppression and the struggle for freedom endured by Africans and their descendants in America. The first Africans were brought as slaves to European colonies in North America, South America, and the Caribbean in 1525. In the U.S., the forced enslavement of Africans and their descendants would not end until 1863, and it would take a bloody war between the states to end it. During the Civil War, more than 100,000 black men fought for the Union to ensure the freedom of millions more held in captivity. And while their fight helped bring freedom, it did not bring equality. The legacy of racial oppression that allowed slavery to flourish in America for centuries continued as black Americans struggled against discrimination and segregation, looking to find their place in the land of the free. Having been subjected to centuries of dehumanizing atrocities, largely in the southern states, many black Americans began to migrate to the north and west, starting in 1916. Known as the Great Migration, black Americans fled the South by millions looking for a better way of life, away from legalized segregation, sharecropping, and lynching. Life outside the South was different in many ways, but oppression, intolerance, and limited opportunity were pervasive. Discrimination in the workplace and housing persisted. The threat of violence was everywhere. In what is known as the Red Summer of 1919, angry white mobs instigated more than 40 racially motivated attacks throughout the country, killing hundreds of black Americans. The senseless violence and killing of the Red Summer was not the end of racist terror in America. In 1921, 1 year after, the all black community of Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was attacked by an angry white mob after a white woman accused a black man of assaulting her. Greenwood, which was known as Black Wall Street, was destroyed. 2 years later, the predominantly black town of Rosewood, Florida, was completely burned to the ground in 1923 when a black man was falsely accused of attacking a white woman. Between 1882 and 1968, there were 3,446 recorded lynchings of black folks in the U.S. In the early 1900s, lynchings had become a form of public entertainment, with postcards created to commemorate the murders. For decades, activists and politicians fought for anti lynching legislation, only to be stopped at every turn by Southern politicians. The United States Congress would not pass any form of anti lynching regulation until 2020, more than a century after the Red Summer of 1919.